Today we're working on a 6-port Mazda RX8 engine, and we are going to be replacing the upper intake gasket, which is located, there's one gasket here, you see the little nipple deal right there, there's another one right there, one back here, you have one located back here. We'll replace the throttle body mounting gasket, any gasket that's related to this upper manifold, we're going to go ahead and replace it. And usually you can order this kit like on eBay. That's where we got this, and it comes with pretty much every intake gasket, and they are original, genuine Mazda parts. So this kit right here usually runs about $75, free shipping. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna first disconnect the battery. It's always on the negative side. Of course, mine is quick. Just removing this little wing nut, and that disconnects the battery. Then we're going to go ahead and remove any electrical connector associated with the intake or the mass airflow sensor and the air box cleaner, because primarily that's where we're pretty much going to be working. And just move everything out of the way. Any vacuum lines that you might have that's hooked up to the intake as well needs to be removed. Your booster, this line, this one right here, your electrical connector right here, and you have 3 electrical connectors in the back. That's right here. As you can see, the electrical connectors have been disconnected back here. That's pretty simple. The one sits right here, massive flood sensor, throttle position sensor. I went ahead and pulled the vacuum line. This one right here is attached right here. I just stuck the hose in this hole, so it's not hooked up, but I'm gonna remove it from here to the front of this air box as one complete assembly, just removing this Phillips screw head. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that next, and that should clear this part out of here. Remove this one screw. As I went ahead and removed the screw and pulled it back, there is a vacuum line that's up underneath this one. This is on a 6-port one, so a 4-port might be different, might not have this deal, but on a 6-port, so you gotta remove that vacuum line. They'll go yanking this thing out because you might break something. So that whole unit came out as one solid piece. Now you have full access to pretty much everything else on a front accessory, drive, anything that might be hidden up underneath the intake. Like for example, now I can actually access this line right here, which that right there is a coolant line. The other coolant line is right here. I usually do those last, this one right here, and I'll put a unit in the middle, or just put a screw in there just to prevent it from leaking any coolant. So I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect this line and the one down here, and you should have a fuel line right here, so we're going to have to remove that one as well, and that's actually hooked to the fuel line right here. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect that line as well. I'm going to do that one, and then we'll go ahead and start removal of the bolts, which are 10mm bolts. And disconnect it, removing that clamp on the bottom end of this throttle body. That's a cooling line. So I use 1/4" extensions, which is perfect, and I just slide in that to prevent any coolant from coming out. And I also did the same on the top side. This is the top side, so there's no I'm not leaking no coolant. Moved it to the side, came to the back to do the fuel line. You got this line right here. This one needs to be disconnected. This is your pressure one, so you're going to leave that one alone. The only thing you're going to do is remove this little clamp with the screwdriver. Get inside there. You got to lift up and then out, and that'll disengage this little clamp. Move this hose to the side. You need to disconnect this one though, and it's held on by this little clamp right here. You can't really see this. You need to remove this clip, and that exposes your inner clip. Once you remove those clips, you're gonna go back to the fuel line and you're gonna grab it and you'll lift straight up and out, just like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that little clip with the screwdriver. And then I'm gonna get a 10 millimeter on a cordless drill. I'm gonna remove this bolt, this one, the one back there, right here. There's them bolts, see it? There's one right here, and then there's one kind of in the back, right there. I'm gonna remove the 2 screws back here, and those 3, the next ones we gotta do, being this is a 6-port, we're gonna have to remove those 2 screws, one right there, this one, and then there's 2 screws on this tube, kind of in a difficult area, so you're gonna need a long extension to get down there, but you need to remove those 2 as well. You're gonna look something like this, the tail meter ahead. Once you do that, this should pop out. The final 2 screws here and the ones in the back, this right here should lift up, as you can see. All right, underneath it, it looks like you're gonna have to remove this vacuum hose and this one right here on this regulator. Remove those, kind of wiggle it out. Always slowly remove it because there could be something else hooked up that we don't see. As you can see, coolant's coming out of there. But you're gonna turn it over, and this gasket, this one, this one, this one, and this one, we're gonna go ahead and replace those. And of course, these gaskets, this little nipple off on the side, you're gonna pull it and pop it out. So we're gonna go ahead and replace all of these gaskets. Oh, okay, there is, right there. That's the one I was looking for. And that's held on by a 10 millimeter here and right here. So we're gonna go ahead and do that right now, but also you wanna make sure your surfaces are clean. So you have to make sure this surface, this one here, the one in the back there, and this dirty guy. Make sure all your surfaces are clean before we go ahead and reinstall your intake. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this one, pull those 2 bolts, replace the gasket on the inside, pop the new ones in place here, and this should be ready to pop back in there. Cleaned the surface here, this whole surface, the one down here, and also this port. That's actually some type of coating on there. Went ahead and just cleaned any debris, dirt, grime, or silicone using carburetor choke throttle body cleaner. Also did the same with the throttle body. Went ahead and removed it, cleaned the surface, and while I have it out, go ahead and clean the inside of your throttle body. Any debris, dirt, oil, anything that might get caught up or cause a check engine light to kick. And this is your throttle body mounting area. Went ahead and removed those 4 screws right there. Make sure the surface is clean here as well. Any surface, any contact surface, you want to make sure it's clean. And then you're going to go ahead and just pop these new gaskets in place. Remember, there's a little nipple on there, so there's a little slot on each one of these, like so. Just make sure when you pop them in, the little nipple hangs out of those slots. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these gaskets in. But also, this is that lower portion that's down here. There's that hidden gasket right there. That one needs to get replaced as well. And this kit comes with all of these gaskets. So if it comes in the kit, go ahead and use them, install them. And when we go to snug these bolts back in, that's all you're going to do is snug them in. You're not going to torque them down hard, just very snug. That's it. So I'm going to go ahead and pop those on now. Pretty much almost got this completed. Went ahead and installed all these gaskets. Each one has a home. And again, make sure your little nipples are facing out the little slots, like so right there. One right here, that's for the oil area. And then you have your throttle body. Again, on your throttle body, make sure surface is clean. While it's out, clean it with carburetor cleaner. we're gonna go ahead and remount this and get the bolts put on, snug them up, and you'll see it when you actually go to tighten the bolts. Like the bottom portion right here, that's snugged up pretty easy, and I barely have it set on number 3 on my D-Walt. Though number 5 is probably the best, but number 3, and that pulled it in. And I'm probably going to go ahead and hit it with 5, which is still hand tight, snug. I'm going to do the same with the throttle body, and then we'll go ahead and place this part back inside the car. All right, I went ahead and reinstalled the throttle body. Just using pulled it in on the number 3 on the D-Walt cordless drill, which is barely any torque. And then I just use the 1/4" ratchet to tighten up. And again, it's just a snug fit. You're gonna go pretty much in a star. That way it evenly goes down and it doesn't install sideways. Once that is all done, just visually inspect, make sure, again, your gaskets are snug. They shouldn't fall out when you go to install this. That's what those little deals are right there. They actually pushed up in between there. They actually hold it in place. Make sure your 3 vacuum lines are still locked in position. 3 hoses right here, ready to go back on. And once you visually inspect it, go ahead and you can go ahead and pretty much set it back in place. And again, the way you pulled it out is pretty much the way it's got to go back in. And then pop the intake back in its position. Just got to watch this line right here. He's kind of a hard plastic, and that's what was kind of blocking me from maneuvering it in the correct area. Went ahead and put all the bolts in. You got the 3 here, 2 here, 2 in the back, and you have 2 back here. So, of course, I pulled it in and went ahead and took that 1/4" ratchet and I snugged them in. And now it's time to go ahead and got to reinstall these electrical connectors. Got the 3 in the back. They're kind of in a tight spot, but it can still be done. Oh, you got one. And you can't really see them, but they just kind of snap. So you got to feel for where they actually go and let them fall in place. Got those 3 back there. Your one thing I will say right here, it's kind of hard to get to that one vacuum line on that regulator. So ensure you pop those vacuum lines, those 2 down here first, before bolting it down here, or you won't be able to get to it. So I went ahead and plugged those 2 down below first, then I went ahead and mounted the top side. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up installing all the vacuum lines and electrical connectors. Make sure you go ahead and reinstall your cooling line that sits right here. That's with that one. You got the one right here. You got the booster hose that snaps right there. You got that electrical connector sits right here. And we'll go ahead and after I get that done, we'll go ahead and reinstall the air tube. All right, went ahead and reinstalled the coolant line, the hose down here. Make sure the clamp is also placed in that position. The electrical connector, vacuum port, the 3 electrical connectors in the back, right here. You got your fuel line with the little special clips back into the position. Once you're done there, you'll have these vacuum ports. You have the one that's right here, and you have the one that's right here. So the air box, the way you removed it, that's exactly the way it's going to go back in. You'll reinstall this tube, slide the box in, and then push it down and into this throttle body area. Then you'll place your vacuum ports back into the tube itself. So I'm going to go ahead and slap her in, and then we'll go ahead and tighten up that bolt. Went ahead and reinstalled the air tube. Of course, again, you slide it in this direction and you go back this way, retighten the screw, put the 2 vacuum hoses, your mass airflow sensor, connector right here, the vacuum line underneath it. Once that is done, go over the whole setup. Make sure all your screws are in their proper position. Your electrical connectors, the ones in the back, your fuel line, vacuum lines. Once they are done, you can go ahead and rehook up your battery connector and your beauty cover that goes over your battery. If you got the big cover, go ahead and place it back on. You should be good. You should be able to roll out. That pretty much completes our upper intake gasket installation. If you like my video though, please like it. And if you want to follow me, guys, go ahead and subscribe. And again, appreciate you for watching my video. Thanks for watching.